Good morning and welcome to Coffee Ann, the longest-running panel discussion show in American radio. To make a comment or ask a question of the panel, call 401-766-1240 or email coffee@woonsocket.radio.com. And now, let's join the Coffee Ann panel.
And good morning to you. It is now time for Coffee Ann on ON Radio. It's Monday morning. It's July 15th. My name's Joe Callahan. And around the coffee and table, we'll say good morning to Dave Richards. Good morning, Dave.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Lovely day.
Former mayor of the town of Cumberland, Bill Murray, has joined us. Hi, Bill.
Good morning, Joe, and good morning, everyone.
Nice to have you here. We have a guest in the studio today. I invited the man in. His name is Joe Petrucci. He has written a book called The Last Foul Ball, F-O-U-L, so it's a baseball. It's a baseball story.
Joe loves the book.
And I love the book. So thanks for joining us, Joe.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
Get real close to that microphone so people
we got to
can
get you.
understand you.
They got to
Thanks
hear
for
you in
having me.
Manville, you know.
So now you self-published the book.
I did.
How was that done?
It was so easy, I couldn't get over it.
Really?
I went through Amazon. You just fill out some forms. You upload your documents, and you hit the send button. You get a proof copy first that you buy for like $5 that they send to you with a big banner across saying not for resale.
Right.
And then you go through it. If everything's fine, you hit the publish button, and that's it. It's for sale. You set a price, and it was quite easy.
All right. I'm glad it's an easy process. Now you're a Rhode Island guy.
I am.
Where are you from?
I grew up in Johnston. I live in North Providence now. Lived in Boston for a bit.
Okay. Now the reason we asked Joe to come in is because in the book, the main character of the book is a baseball player. He's a catcher named Johnny Reich. That's how I pronounced it when I was reading it.
Yep,
Reich.
that's it.
And he plays for the AAA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox.
Does that sound familiar?
But they're not. They're not the Pawtucket Red Sox.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Joe changed it, and it's the Woonsocket Darlingtons.
I did.
Now,
Something different.
why did you change it?
I just wanted something different, and I also wondered, I knew it wouldn't have been a problem, but I didn't want to get sued. That was another thing.
There you go.
Except, Darlington is a neighborhood in Pawtucket, by the way.
Yeah.
You got close.
I did know. I did know that, and I said no one will be offended by this, though. So I did make him the Woonsocket Darlingtons, something different, and also just to prove that it was actually a novel and that this isn't.
So we'll make it very clear. This is a novel. It's not a factoid experience.
That's
here.
correct.
Right. So the main character, Johnny, he's a journeyman catcher. In the minor leagues. He's had some Major League Baseball experience. He's from North Dakota, if I remember correctly. He's played for a few different teams, including the New York Yankees. So he played at Yankee Stadium there, Bill. Bill's a Yankee fan.
Yep.
So, but he comes to the Red Sox, and he does get up to Fenway for a few games before getting traded towards the end of the book. He goes to St. Louis.
Spoiler.
Yes, spoiler alert. Well, he's trying, and then he retires. So. But it's a happy ending. I'll say that as well. So, and it's a love story too.
It is.
It's a little bit of everything. So, how'd you come about with this whole story?
So I used to go to a lot of Paw Sox games, and the fans are so close to the field. They go over. The catchers go over to make a catch on a foul ball, and I said, what if somebody made a catch and fell on a fan in the stands and injured them? And I thought about putting it together as a play, but I couldn't pull it off.
Okay.
So I had to start writing narrative and dialogue, and the book developed from there.
And this is your first book.
It is, yes.
Okay. Do you plan to? You going to try to write more?
I may. I'm not positive yet.
Yeah.
The editing process was difficult. That took a long time. You're hammering away at the same nail.
Yep.
It's that took a long time. So I'm not sure if I'll attempt to do it again.
Do you have any help editing the book?
I hired a professional editor out of New York, and she was fabulous.
Did you
the
clash,
details
though?
she gave me. She gave me ideas and said I would do this, and I said no, I'm not. But there are a lot of good things she recommended that I took advantage of and changed things around.
All right, and so you're happy with the outcome.
Yeah,
of the whole
I
book.
was happy. I'm glad I published it when I did. I probably would have made a couple of different changes. The only thing was, with AI out there and everything, I got worried that it would write itself or somebody would take it over or something like that. So I kind of rushed it to publication after I after I got to the point where, okay, I think this is good enough.
All right. Now it mentions a lot of local places here in northern Rhode Island. The catcher Johnny doesn't live in Woonsocket, but he lives in Lincoln.
Yes, he does.
Is that like Manville, Lincoln, or like Lincoln, Lincoln?
I don't think you actually say.
Because like Manville's almost like part of Woonsocket.
I know, yeah. It was Fair Lawn, though.
Colloquially, yeah.
And I changed some of the places, too. There's Salitro's Bakery, for instance. Well, that's in Cranston, but I've got it in Fair Lawn.
Yeah, okay.
But I do have cellos in there.
You do mention
Cellos.
cellos. Going to
And
cellos in Woonsocket to eat.
Narragansett beer.
Yes.
You know, they like
There you
Narragansett
go.
beer on tap.
Why would you go to St. Louis if you got Narragansett here?
Nothing in Cumberland?
That's my view.
I don't think Cumberland was mentioned
Oh, boy.
in the book.
I'm
Sorry.
not sure I'm going to read it now. No.
Well, Manville borders Cumberland, so it's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
close,
true.
yeah.
That's true.
You're right.
I think you mentioned St. Anne Arts and Cultural Center too. Or
I
St.
did.
Anne's Church.
So I've been a volunteer there for 13 years giving tours on Sundays.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh,
I
that's
talked
nice.
about the beautiful frescoes there.
That's
I
right.
had to throw that
Throw it in, yeah.
because, I'm in love with the place. So
Okay. What made you decide to make the main character from North Dakota?
I just wanted it to be a remote place where,
Okay.
there were struggles he had to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
the cold environment and not coming from a very, rich family or anything.
Right.
I wanted to just show some struggle, so I put him in the middle of the continent.
Okay. And that is the premise of the book at the beginning. There is a foul ball, and he dives into the crowd, and he catches the ball too.
He does. He makes the play.
But he lands on a woman and breaks her
Oh,
nose,
no, uh-oh.
breaks her orbital socket.
Yeah.
She has to have surgery. But he feels so bad about doing this that he starts visiting her in the hospital,
Mm-hmm.
and the romance takes off from there. Not right off the bat though.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't imagine after.
She's like, well, why are you really here?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, he's a wonderful guy. He's good to a fault,
He
Too,
is good to a fault.
too
That's
good,
right.
no good.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
kind of backfires on him for being so polite and kind and generous. He's easy to take advantage of.
All right. You think you might want to? You talk about doing another book. You think you might want to do like a sequel to this one, or a prequel anyway? Maybe?
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably change it to a different subject, maybe short stories. I think
Okay.
they might be easier to pull together. I just don't have any wonderful ideas for them right now, but
All right.
I think some short stories would be in order if I decide to move ahead.
Now you had to self-publish the book. Did you ever try passing it along to the big publishers?
I didn't, only because of time. I just
Okay.
thought it would take too much time to get it to them, and they'd probably want too many revisions. Where
Okay.
when you self-publish, you can make the
Right.
decision on your own to revise it as you wish.
But now that it's been self-published, can you now just pass it along to them now and say, "Hey, I've published it on my own. What do you think of this?"
I probably could. I've reached out to certain people for their opinion, people in the media, and so far the reviews have been good. So I'm happy with that.
Okay. One of the things I noticed in the book, you don't. I don't think so. If at least I can't remember. You don't mention like the park where they play in Woonsocket, and you don't mention where it's located.
Yeah,
in
I
the
did.
city.
I-
Is that
I-
on purpose?
It is. I deliberately didn't get into specific details. I just wanted to, move forward with the story and not get into too many details about the ballpark itself, the name of it, because it would require some more research if I wanted to make it more realistic. I just didn't want to put any more time into it.
All right. Any talk of like turning it into a movie or anything like that?
I think it'd be great if somebody wanted to. It would be, it's set up for a Hallmark type movie.
I would say so.
But
Yes.
something along those lines. There is some questionable material in there that isn't. You don't want to give this to a 12-year-old
No.
to read. Hey, here's a good sports book, because there's mature matter
Themes
in it.
and-
But
and a little language, but
Hallmark
not
would be
awful.
just perfect for that because kids don't watch Hallmark, right?
Yeah, right.
And I mean the language is not terribly rough, but a few.
yeah, in fact,
keeping it realistic.
I
All
did-
players swear. That's what they do.
I know. I did cut some of that down too, because
Did
I
you?
got pushback from some people who I had looked at beforehand. They go, there is too much bad language in here.
All right.
But the copies I gave, the early copies I gave to like my college roommates and stuff, they read and they go, no, this is how people talk. This is how we talk. Don't
Yeah.
change it. But I did, and I don't think it hurt it too much.
Did you know any ball players in college?
No, just there's one anecdote in there that's actually a true story. The baseball coach at PC was a guy named Alex Nahigian, and he was walking by me one day.
And you're a PC grad, right?
I am.
Okay.
And he was walking by me one day, and I happened to know an Armenian kid who taught me a couple of words, and I said to him, "Michbeses," which means hi in Armenian. And he said, "You Armenian? No." He goes, "I got a story for you." And this was a good anecdote, and it's in the book, where he gets up to bat one day, and he's batting against a guy named Mo Berg, who was a spy in World War II. He played professional baseball, spoke 10 languages. There's a movie on him now on Netflix about Mo Berg. And he gets up to bat, and Mo Berg says to him in Armenian, "It's going to be a fastball." And sure enough, it's a fastball, and he doesn't swing. He takes the pitch. And he says to Mo Berg, "What's the next one going to be?" And Mo Berg says, "You're on your own, kid." You know, so but that is an anecdote in the story, and that's an actual true story because Alex told me.
All right. Wow. I like when real stories like that make it into fiction like
Yeah,
this.
some of the things in there, you know, like the boat that his family came over on was the boat my mother came over on from Italy, things like that.
All right. Another good anecdote in the story is when it's in the middle of wintertime and the family's broken down by the side of the road, and he stops to help them fix a flat tire.
Yeah.
I think it's fix a flat tire, and he lets the family get into their car so they can warm up, and he always keeps a cooler full of drinks and snacks just in case they come across stuff like this. So
Came in handy in the middle of North Dakota.
Yeah, I go. So it seems like he's almost too good.
Sure.
To be true. Were you trying to make him like that?
I did. I wanted to make it to the point where, you know, there's a fine line between the sport and the sucker, you know,
okay.
and that's him for the most part.
And he's a hero.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He won't take any money.
No, right.
You know,
Yeah, that's right.
He's a kind of guy. The cover of the book was an interesting story too. I went through a company called 99 Designs.
Okay.
And you put it out there for bid. You tell them what you want, and they come with different designs, and you pick somebody who you want to do the book for you. And it's all through messaging. I never spoke to the person, and she was in Brazil, and I don't even think she speaks English.
Okay.
And we went back and forth, and I told her what I wanted, and she did a great job, you know, putting the cover together. So I was happy with how the cover came out.
Is that the Field of Dreams?
Yeah, it's
Something like that.
something
Yeah,
like that.
sure.
Looking for
Yeah, I
redemption,
know.
maybe.
Yeah,
Sure.
sure.
Yeah.
But is that supposed to be like a field of wheat that he's standing
Yeah,
in? We
yeah.
got it
He's
up online if you can see it.
you know, he's standing there in an open field of, you know, wheat or hay. You know,
Yeah.
considering he's from the middle of the continent.
Right.
You know,
right.
high
Well,
plains.
it
so-
reminds me of when I played ball in New York.
Does it?
Sure.
That kind of high
No,
grass kind of thing?
yeah, they never cut the grass. Are you kidding me? We were lucky to be able to walk through it. Yeah, no, that's a true story.
Well, it looks like wheat to me, but it's like, oh, okay. And of course, how'd you come up with the name Johnny Reich? How'd you come up? Johnny's pretty easy, but the last name of Reich, R-E-I-C-H.
Yeah, I just figured I'd make him German, something different, and
Okay.
a little bit familiar with Germany, visiting there, and I figured I could weave in some history about the war and his father fighting in the war and the country itself. So because of it, I said, okay, I'm going to make him German. And I said, I got to come up with a good baseball name or whatever. You know, you can't go wrong with Johnny,
No,
right,
No,
for
no, that's,
baseball,
you know,
right?
especially as a catcher. You know.
Yeah, so I just figured, all right, Johnny Reich, that'll work.
All right. What's the name of the love interest that he falls on?
Liz Bream.
Liz. Okay.
And her father owns
Owns
Bream.
part of the team, right?
Yeah, he owns part of the team. He's also owns the Bream Valve and Gauge in Woonsocket.
Which is in Woonsocket.
Yeah.
Okay. Not a real company in Woonsocket.
No,
but,
of course not. No, another fabricated one.
When did you start writing the book? What year?
I started it in 2022, and I started it in October.
Okay. Well, I
And-
figured by that time the Pawtucket Red Sox had already left.
Yeah,
So
they
so
had
couldn't have
already.
sued, they couldn't have sued you.
I know that. I just figured, and I also wanted it to be very clear that it was a novel and
Yes.
not,
Not real life. This
not-
has not actually happened.
right. It was a book of fiction.
Why'd
So,
you pick Woonsocket?
I just have an affinity for it over the years
Yes.
with being at St. Anne's every Sunday for
Okay.
13
Yeah.
years or whatever. It's like, why not?
Let's put 'em up
That's
there.
great.
And Dave Russell, you always told me, Dave, that there was a ballpark here.
Oh, yeah.
Off of
Very
Cass
close
Avenue.
to St. Anne.
And close
Very
to St.
close
Anne's, too.
Well,
Kind of.
there have been a number of ballparks, but the one you're thinking about now was St. Anne's Field, directly across from the hospital where
Yeah.
where Ed Carew had his supermarket, the Park and Shop there. It's now been taken over by the hospital and its various offices, plus the eye doctor and the rest of that stuff.
Yeah.
But that was all St. Anne's Field, and it was an enclosed place. But in those days, it was directly across from the hospital. There was no air conditioning. The hospital was not a big brick building. It was several small wooden buildings that where the parking lot is right now.
Yeah.
You remember that, Bill?
Yeah, sure.
Because those buildings actually continued on into just almost this century before they tore them all down.
Yeah,
And that, of course, by necessity, during the summer months, they had to have the windows wide open to cool the place off. And then at night, when they were trying to get some rest, they'd be playing ball across the street, making noise and
Yeah.
cheering and stuff like that, and it bothered some of the patients at the hospital. So, as time went along, they took down the ball field and put something that was a little quieter there, a supermarket.
That's much quieter. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Coffee and program. More coming up. If you have any comments or questions, please call them in at 401-766-1240.
Guiding and assisting a family as they honor and celebrate the life of someone they love is our mission at Menard Locouture Funeral Homes. From personalized memorial cards, video tributes, to individual requests, such as the presence of sporting gear or even a motorcycle in front of the funeral home, we are able to walk with you as you make decisions at a difficult time. As you plan a loving remembrance for one close to you, Menard Locouture Funeral Home will be there for you.
The Coffee and Panel is enjoying coffee from Down East Coffee Roasters. All their coffee is roasted right here in Rhode Island. Down East Coffee Roasters is available at all Little General stores.
ON Radio.
All right, Coffee and on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with Dave Richards, former Mayor Cumberland. Bill Murray's here, and we'll be joined by Joe Petrucci. He's an author. He's from Rhode Island. He lives in North Providence now. He wrote a novel called The Last Foul Ball. We brought him in because the main character, Johnny Reich, is a catcher with the Boston Red Sox AAA affiliate. But in the book, it's not the Pawtucket Red Sox or the Worcester Red Sox. It's the Woonsocket Darlingtons. Great name, by the way.
I was happy with it. Thank you.
And in the book, I've read it, and it was what my former high school English teacher always referred to as, and this is not an insult, it's an easy read.
Yes.
It's so it's not you're not gonna be going over what did I just read? If you read a paragraph,
Right.
I got to reread it again. But it's an easy read. It's a quick read. So
It is indeed.
You just
I-
keep going.
I tell everyone it's not To Kill a Mockingbird. You can knock this out quite
Yeah.
easily.
Oh, thank goodness!
You
I
know,
hated that book.
No.
You know, you can
They made me read it in school.
yeah, you can go through this. It's
Get it done in
something
a
like
week.
a beach read. Yeah,
Yeah.
knock it out easy, and it's nice little story.
Good summertime book if you're going on vacation. You think?
It is.
That's why I wanted to take it.
There you
Yeah.
go.
When I go in August, that'll be on in my bag. I'm not a big reader, but books like that I love. Anything that has to do with sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, the people I know said, "Okay, I'm going on vacation. I'm taking it with me."
Yep.
You know, and that's pretty much what it's about. It's easy like that.
Great.
Not to give too much away, Bill, but she does recover in the hospital.
What?
All right,
So don't worry about it.
I don't.
Yeah,
Please.
no
I wanna-
spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah,
But,
no, I'll.
She survives her surgery.
I mean, if you decide to write another book, I coached Joe Callahan.
Oh God.
He
In
was
Little League, right?
The Little League.
Yeah,
One of my
yeah.
best bench. No, he was a good ball player, and
Made sure
I
the
always
bench
I've
didn't
said that
blow
before
away.
on here.
That's great.
I was his coach, and Taught him everything he knows now. I mean,
Everything about
I
sports.
want to ask
Yeah.
Joe a question.
All right.
Joe, you said you watched the Paw Sox down at McCoy Stadium many times during the time that they were there.
Yeah.
There must be one or two games that stand out in your mind that you enjoyed so much because of the play on the field. Can you say which ones they were?
So I did go to the longest game in baseball history. However,
I had
I have
tickets
to
for it,
qualify.
but I didn't go.
I did not go to the game when they came back to play to continue the game.
Right.
I was aware of it, so we got tickets, me and some guys I worked with, and we went for the continuation of it. And it only lasted an inning.
Right.
Right.
You know, that was it. And then
We
you know they,
broadcast it on this station.
yeah, imagine. And yeah, that was great. And then you know it ended. So that
we
is
didn't
obviously
broadcast the first one, the first 30 some odd innings of
first 32 you skipped?
32. We did. Well, this is my story here. Joe will appreciate it. I had tickets to that game given to me by Ben Mondor, and I had intended to go. It was a Saturday night,
Yeah.
but it was the Saturday night before Easter morning. And I was operations manager at the station, and the guy who worked Sunday morning asked me to work for him because he wanted to go to church with his family on Easter morning. And I said, okay, I'll miss the ball game, but, you know, I'll get other
There'll be
tickets,
others.
and there'll be others, right.
Yeah.
So, and then when I came in that morning, it's 4:30 in the morning, and I'm looking at the Associated Press Newswire to see what news there is for me to broadcast and such like that, and I start seeing they just finished playing ball. And I'm looking at this, I says, my gosh. And then later on, I heard the whole story of how that longest game happened there. That was very memorable, but I had tickets for that game.
No kidding.
That was a
Wow.
wonderful, I shoulda, coulda, woulda,
Yeah.
but didn't
Those
type
things
of
happen.
stories. We all have those stories.
No.
I also walked out on a perfect game at McCoy. We
You had
had
to get
tickets.
home?
Somebody gave. We were working, and we were going to take a half-day vacation. Me and one of the guys I worked with. Somebody gave us tickets. Afternoon game, and I forgot who the pitcher was. I believe he was a Japanese pitcher. And we
Tomooka.
okay, and we went to McCoy. And we stayed a few innings, and then we got a phone call. Hey, you got to get back to work. There's something that blew up. Something happened.
Oh.
So we went back, and we had pitched a perfect game at that point. But still, 5-6 innings into it, that happens
Well,
every day,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not
That
going to
happens a lot, yeah.
And son of a gun, driving home that night, I heard on the radio. Yeah, the kid pitched. It was a no-hitter. I don't think it was a perfect game. I believe it was a no-hitter. But regardless, I
Yeah.
walked out on it. And, you know, felt badly about that. I also got engaged at McCoy.
Did you?
Oh.
I did.
Wow.
It was, I won't forget, it was 39 years ago, July 6th, and it was 1,000,000 degrees out. And we're going to the game at night, and I had the diamond. It was wrapped, and it's like, how can I sneak this into the ballpark? Because, you know, it's hot. I'm not wearing a lot of clothes where I can put, but I brought a jacket, and she said, what are you doing with the jacket? I said, oh, just in
Oh,
case.
you never know.
And I put the ring in the popcorn box, and I said, you want some popcorn?
Oh, that's,
And, you know, so she,
that's romantic.
yeah, but she wants to leave
Did she
before the
eat the
first pitch is
popcorn
thrown.
afterwards?
You know, because she gets the ring. Oh, I want to go tell everybody. I said, no,
No,
I want to
watch-
watch the
watch-
game.
yeah.
But we did leave after a few innings.
Ah, I see.
Well, that's memorable.
My favorite, I think I told Joe one time, very hot, steamy night. My seats are that night underneath the press box. Not a breath of a breeze. You can just hear yourself sweat. It was just, everybody was sweating. It was a hot, hot night. But we're watching the Paw Sox, and this is the first time. Now, Joe thinks I'm a real idiot for this, but it's the first time that I actually saw the hidden ball trick. Marty Barrett did it at second base at McCoy while I'm sitting there watching him, and I think something's a little strange because I followed the ball around and
Yeah, yeah.
the
can't-
ball
you
didn't
can't see
end
it.
up right. The ball didn't end up where it was supposed to, but I'm saying to myself, "Oh, Dave, you know, I'm not a sports fan like Bill or Joe is. You know, I'm a casual sports fan. I enjoy it, but it's not something that's high on my list. I like other things, you know. So, but I got a chance to see Marty Barrett, and you never forget that. I've heard about them before, but I never actually saw it happen right in front of me where I knew it was a hidden ball trick, and then
And
they
it
sprung
worked.
it on the batter, on the runner on first base, and they won.
That's great.
Yeah.
Joe Petrucci's book is called The Last Foul Ball, so it's a baseball story. It's also a bit of a love story as well. And like we said, it's a quick, easy read. Where can people get the book, Joe?
You can buy it on Amazon.
Okay.
You can get it in Kindle and paperback on Amazon. And we also sell copies Sundays at St. Anne's Art and Cultural Center.
Oh, okay.
And the proceeds, if you buy it there, all the money will go towards St. Anne's. So it's available
that's
there
nice.
as well if people, come in and want to buy it.
Okay. Now, you were mentioning off the air that some of the minor characters in the book you named after your friends.
I did.
Did you tell your friends ahead of time?
Nope, I didn't tell them. And then I showed up for coffee on Sunday morning, and I said, "Oh, look!" And I started pointing them out. So
Were they surprised?
They got a kick out of it. Yeah.
Oh,
One
great.
of them didn't read the book for a while, and and then I didn't tell him, and then finally he said, "I can't believe it." He called me up. So
All right. Well, if you're in another book, I want to be in it.
that's fair.
And I'll give you the
Bill and
information on
Dave-
how he played.
Okay.
Yeah, Bill and Dave, I'll put in as well.
Just put me in as the manager.
Manager.
Manager of the
Manager,
team.
Oh
oh.
my.
There is no manager of the baseball team mentioned, I don't think, in the
There's
book.
none.
Yeah, I think one sentence.
Maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it.
So it's just not that memorable that I can't remember. So
And he.
A cameo.
yeah.
That's it.
But the player, if I'm trying to remember, Johnny Wright, he's in his 12th year of playing baseball.
Yeah, he ends up playing a total of 10, 12 years,
Yeah.
I believe. It was
Four so different.
yeah,
That's a
10,
good- that's a
10
good career.
10 at the end, yeah.
12 years.
But mostly in the minors. You
Yeah.
know, he
Oh,
kinda
yeah.
gets a cup of coffee here and there in the majors.
Yep.
Because he's just good enough to play, but not for very long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But has a pretty,
How many
pretty
players
decent
have been
minor.
like that?
Well, that's right.
right.
It's all a case of good timing and talent, and some
And
people.
then good timing good timing again, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
either you do
Just so
well
lucky.
up at the major league level, or
free
you
of
don't.
injuries and
It
the whole
depends
bit.
on
And who
what
you're
it-
playing behind,
exactly.
too.
Yeah,
That's
that's
Yeah.
right.
You mentioned that in the book because it takes place in the 70s.
Yeah, it takes place in the 70s right up to 1980, 81. So, he's playing behind Johnny Bench. He's
Yeah.
playing
Oh.
behind Fisk.
Fisk.
He's playing behind Ted Simmons in St.
In
Louis.
St. Louis.
you
So,
know,
so he knows he's not going past these guys because he knows how good they are.
yeah.
And they ain't going nowhere.
No.
That's right.
Right.
So, so it's an enjoyable book. I mean, it's not all baseball, of course, but
There's
it
little
does a lot of
mushy
it.
stuff in there.
A little about
Yeah.
what they do in the off season, kind of thing, and where he spends his holidays and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and he does all the good. He does.
It's a good mix.
It's a
right?
good mix of
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit of everything. So well done, Joe.
Thank
So
you, Joe. I
Do you
appreciate
think when
it.
it's
I
all
enjoy
over,
reading it.
a young person reading that would say, "I think that's the life for me"?
Baseball.
Hey, if you can do it, who wouldn't want to play baseball? You're going to be working the rest of your life,
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, if you can play baseball, I mean, and or any professional sport at any
It's
level for a period of time, take advantage of
It
it.
shows you how, because I had a son who played for Calgary,
In hockey.
hockey, and he was in the minors, and not because he was my son, but he was pretty good, Joe knows. And injuries kept him out of the NHL, and it was, well, he's 50 now, so he still remembers it could have been,
Sure.
and they always said that he would do well in the NHL. He's a big kid and pretty decent, but injuries, so he bounced around in the minors. Not bounced around because he was with Calgary's farm team, but as soon as his contract was up, he was like a piece of meat.
Yeah.
See you later. He went later down to the East Coast League to play for 4 or 5 years. That was an interesting thing, because down there everything was paid under the table,
Oh, okay.
and
nice.
or by the people that loved going there. And they used to sell out down there, believe it or not, in hockey. So there's a lot of interesting stories around. I know we touched it very closely in our family with him.
With the character here, it's a good tale because the character actually goes to college,
Yes.
Marquette University, I believe, and is in engineering.
yeah, he's an engineering
So
student.
when he's done with baseball,
Yeah.
that's his next chapter of his life. So
It's funny. I found out, and this was well after the book was published. Marquette doesn't have a baseball team.
Oh, no
I
kidding.
had no clue. I just made an assumption that most of the Big East schools do. I
Yeah.
know PC got rid of
PC
theirs.
used to, yeah.
Yeah. So, but Marquette doesn't have one, and I had difficulty finding out how long ago they got rid of it.
Wow.
So, you know,
Well, that way they can't-
complete fiction.
That way they can't sue you.
Sure.
Well, Marquette, Cumberland had the Kolick,
That's
young
right.
man who just got drafted, and I just
Yeah.
saw him play the other night.
Playing in
Signed
the
a
summer league?
$9 million contract, so.
With the Knicks, right?
With the Knicks,
Good
correct.
for him.
Yep.
That's wonderful.
All right, Joe Petrucci, thanks for joining us. Your book, The Last Foul Ball, based here in Woonsocket. It's a great read. It's a lot of fun. And once again, where can people pick up the book?
You can buy it at Amazon, pick it up on Kindle, and also paperback.
And at St. Anne's.
And at
And
St.
at St.
Anne's
Anne's
on
in
Sundays.
Woonsocket on Sundays.
All right, Joe.
What are the hours you're there on Sundays?
1 to 4,
Wonderful.
right up until the end of November.
Right.
Very
nice.
good. One baseball note that was called in, 766-1240. Sox Moments, Father's Day doubleheader at Fenway Park. Fenway Sox are playing the Kansas City A's. This goes back to 1961. I bet 20 cents with a man behind me. The Red Sox win the first game 13-12, and they won. Second game in 15 innings. We got to the ballpark at noon, left at 9:30 p.m., and I did collect my 20 cents.
That's
Well,
great.
he'll need coffee coming back, won't he?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Can you get a cab from Boston to Woonsocket for 20 cents?
No.
You can try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Time for the weather forecast being brought to you by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Mostly sunny skies today with a high of 94 degrees and heat index values as high as 101. Tonight, a slight chance of a shower or thunderstorm, mostly cloudy skies, overnight low of 71. Tuesday's weather, a chance of showers and thunderstorms mainly after 5 p.m., mostly sunny skies all day with a high of 94 and heat index values well over 100 degrees. Wednesday's weather, mostly sunny, high of 94. Thursday, partly sunny, high of 85. Friday, sunshine and 84 with a breeze from the north. Saturday, mostly sunny and 86. And on Sunday, mostly sunny and 88.
Thanks, Dave. Currently outside the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio on the corner of Park Ave and Kennedy Street under mostly sunny skies, we have 84 degrees. For victims of drunk and drug driving, your grief is unique, but you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call the 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
For an Allstate agent, providing protection options that fit your life is something they take, well, personally. Allstate agents are committed to learning about your needs and helping customize protection to meet them. From bundling your home and auto insurance with ease to evaluating optional coverage, your Allstate agent can help build an insurance proposal that fits your life. And just as important as learning what you need is learning what you don't. Because helping you get coverage you want with savings you deserve is what Allstate is all about. It's time to get coverage that's catered to you. Are you in good hands? Call Kara and Celeste Benjamin at the Benjamin Agency. One agency, two locations in North Smithfield and Bellingham. One telephone number, 765-5000. Subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and Allstate Property and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Vo's True Value Hardware is featuring Igloo 40-quart ice chest for $44.99, perfect for the beach and cookouts. Valvoline Motor Oil, $4.99 per quart, and Tide Laundry Detergent for $5.99. Save at Vo's True Value Hardware, Cumberland Hill Road, Woonsocket.
It is Coffee and on ON Radio. Thanks for joining us. Joe Callahan here, along with former Mayor of Cumberland, Bill Murray. Dave Richards is here.
I am, and I have
And-
something to say.
Right now? Go ahead.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the council president of the Woonsocket City Council is here to discuss tonight's agenda for the Woonsocket City Council, as he does regularly on Monday mornings when there's a meeting. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, Mayor Murray.
Good morning. How are you?
John.
We couldn't get the other
Great.
Murray on, so he's our
So this is
backup
just
Murray, John.
Murray Monday.
Oh, I like that.
Nothing wrong with that, John.
So what's on the agenda for tonight's city council meeting, John?
All right. It's rather extensive, and I'll just try to hit the highlights because I could talk for another 45 minutes if I cover everything. We have a variety of public hearings on a victualling license and secondhand dealer licenses that'll have to be approved. We also have a public hearing on 2 zoning ordinances that are going to be acted on for referral to the planning board for advice and recommendations later in the agenda. And I'm sorry, 3 of them for zoning amendments that will be considered in future meetings and by the planning board. Following that, and the approval of any licenses that we have to renew or grant, we have a communication from the mayor appointing Arthur St. George as a member of the Woonsocket Housing Authority Board. Then we have all of the various reports from the directors who have submitted reports to us, and it seems to be an extensive list, fairly thorough, including some reports from the planning board making recommendations on certain changes to zoning amendments that are going to be considered at a future date. And then we have a lengthy list of unfinished business having to do with appropriations and charter amendment proposals that will be put on the ballot in the fall, in November. The appropriations include things like $1 million of ARPA funds for street and road repairs. We have ARPA funds for Rivers Edge Arts Project Organization. They had requested consideration of granting them some funds in order to support their organization in the city. And then we have $5 million originally planned to fund the public safety complex. My understanding is the mayor is considering adjusting that downward because of a change in plans, how the public safety complex will be dealt with, and we can have that discussion this evening. And then we've added another $700,000 to the expected cost of the use of the rescue plan funds for the construction of the animal shelter that's going to be built at 1500 Manville Road. And then we've got 6 separate questions to be considered on the ballot in November. They'll be up for second approval and to be added to the ballot in November. And then an authorization and approval of the 2024-2025 budget for the Community Development Block Grant Program and associated program funds for home investment and emergency solutions grant and some COVID-related community development block grant money and home investment funds, et cetera, coming out of American Rescue Plan program funds. And then on the new business, a couple of 3 separate ordinances just having to do with new poll locations, an appropriation actually to purchase and install light fixtures for the finance department, and also to purchase a new copier fax printer scanner up to $20,000 of ARPA funds for a new copier. Apparently the one they have is rather dated and needs to be replaced and upgraded. And then an ordinance appropriating $99,465 for 3 Ford Escape motor vehicles that the planning department is hoping to acquire for use by 3 employees in the planning department. Then we have ballot questions that are fresh. 1, 2, 3 separate ballot questions to be considered for charter amendments, having to do with purchasing, having limits, having to do with 4-year term and term limits for the office of mayor, and having to do with the due dates for the presentation of the city's operating a budget and capital budgets each year. Those will need to have a second passage, and due to that, there is a resolution to amend our calendar to include a meeting on August the 5th as a new regular meeting that would accommodate the need to pass these questions in time to get them on the ballot. In addition, there's also an effort to appropriate $450,000 of ARPA funds to purchase a new fire rescue truck and to a resolution for the council to approve the receipt of Rhode Island Commerce Corporation's Main Street and Rhode Island Streetscape Improvement Fund grant, as well as contract to enter into a contract with Narragansett Improvement Company to repave Division Street, which is in desperate need of upgrade and repair and repaving. And then there's a resolution that would refer a request to designate the All Saints property on Rathbun, Social, and George Street to an historic structures overlay district designation, which would hopefully make it easier to market the property for a variety of uses and contract, and then as I referenced earlier, there's a resolution approving a contract to purchase 3 those 2024 Ford Escape motor vehicles. The one to amend the meeting dates, and to execute contracts with residential properties to sell city-owned property as an agency relationship, a resolution to authorize execution of a contract with OpenGov for online licensing through the city clerk's office, and a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with the Center for Public Safety for pre-designed services for the development of the public safety complex, which I referred to earlier. We're already changing the $5 million number down to, I believe, $2 million. And this would be the beginning of the process in order to evaluate the need for public safety, level of services, spatial needs, and ideally a good location to put a public safety complex. And then a resolution authorizing the grant of temporary construction easement in favor of CT Renovations to perform grading work on city property located on Privilege Street. So that's the fairly lengthy list and a very quick summary.
Boy, am I glad
then
you
we
changed it to a 6 o'clock start.
We now also have 6 separate requests to make statements at the meeting, including Larry Poitras related to the Monument Square Stadium Theater traffic calming project, James Canoyer related to pilots and the water treatment plant on Gilson Avenue, Mayor Beauchamp wishes to discuss the wastewater treatment plant and the public safety complex, the Public Works Director to discuss streets to be repaved, the Roy Avenue Water Department garage, Jacob Senegro wastewater contract discussions, I believe. He wants to do a recap of the last decade of infrastructure projects, Big Cass Park complex, and wage increase for temporary employees in the winter. Then Councilman Mansieri wishes to discuss the certificate of occupancy issues that have been discussed among council members and administration, police details, the use of time cards, and the Board of Canvassers office renovations, which have been going on for some time. And then I'm listed as having to want to discuss my usual Mendon Road land purchase investigation, the stop sign flashing lights, the library arch, and the street light removals. And a quick little review of my points. The library arch, as you may know, is the arch that was at the street on Clinton Street that rotted away and fell out about 7 years ago. And I'm asking that we get some quotes or estimates of cost to replace that arch. I think it's an appropriate use of ARPA funds to pay with our one-time opportunity to put that back the way it was. And then I have an inquiry about the fact that across the city, there have been lights being removed by Rhode Island Energy without real explanation, and people have been questioning why that's happening. And I'll be getting hopefully some answers on that. And then I can finally announce tonight that the Mendon Road land purchase investigation is complete. I spoke with the attorney doing that report, and he is finalizing his report to the council. And I expect if we move the meeting up to August the 5th, that we will have our public release of that report on August the 5th, and I'll schedule a special meeting with the council members just prior to that so that we can review and discuss it in a closed session and make sure if anything needs to be redacted, that gets taken care of. And then we will release it on August 5th to the public for general distribution, and we will have a discussion at the meeting at that time to go over what he's reporting and whatever referrals we want to make from that.
And then at one point, somewhere before midnight, hopefully, there will be a motion to adjourn because your work will be done.
Well, we do have a deadline in our rules now that says 11 p.m. We would have to get a majority of the council to agree to extend. But I think, one of the things I actually skipped over is there's also the presentation of an ordinance to accept and adopt the 2024 comprehensive plan for the city, which is an extremely lengthy document. And
yeah.
I'm thinking, though it's been available for reading by many people, it's not so much the public, and maybe we need to put it out there for the public, but then table that one so we don't end up with an extensive discussion of the comprehensive plan because it is so large.
And so important. People don't get how important that is.
Yeah, and I think it would be better to promote it as something people should check up on and read through if they have any comments, which, I mean, there have been many public hearings about it already, but this one last go at it, and because tonight's agenda is so extensive, maybe just push it off to a future meeting when we can act on it, and we're sure that we've put out the word that everybody could take some time to review it and make comment if they wish to. And
All
that's
right.
our
Okay.
brief little agenda for this evening.
All right, John. We
Good luck, John. Catch a nap this afternoon. You're going to need it.
Okay, thank you.
We have the
Have a
meeting
great
tonight.
day, folks.
Meeting will be tonight on ON
a.m.
beginning at 6
p.m.
All right. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Bye. We're going to take another
John
quick
Ward
break.
with the agenda for tonight's meeting, which he does every Monday morning on Coffee and before a meeting.
Very good. Thanks. More Coffee and coming up. Stay tuned.
When you're out enjoying Rhode Island's great outdoors, remember these 3 steps to prevent Lyme disease. Repel, check, and remove. To repel ticks, use bug spray with at least 20% DEET. When you get inside, do a full body tick check. Be sure to check your kids and pets too. If you find a tick, remove it with tweezers. Remember, repel, check, and remove. For more tick-free Rhode Island tips, visit health.ri.gov/ticks. Brought to you by the Rhode Island Department of Health and the Rhode Island Broadcasters Association.
Hello, my name is Paul LaValle and I'm from the Woonsocket Council Knights of Columbus. We are sponsoring a scholarship fund raffle tickets that'll benefit the Woonsocket Catholic School Regional School System. There are only 100 tickets being sold. They are $50 each. The first prize is $1,200. The second prize is $500. The third prize is $300. You can contact any Knight of Columbus or myself at 401-651-5533 to purchase tickets. Thank you.
It's Coffee and here on ON AM and FM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Joe Callahan here with Dave Richards, and
Hi there.
Bill Murray's here as well. And we asked Bill to come on Coffee and last Friday.
And he's wondering why,
So
Joe.
it was well before what took place on Saturday down in Pennsylvania.
Oh, gosh.
We did have a note that was called in 766-1240 just on Trump's attempted assassination. Much can be said about this. Most of it bad. I'll say this: we live in a country with a lot of insane anger.
That's right.
Thoughts on the assassination attempt, Bill?
I think it's just a sad day in our country to be at this point that everybody is fighting and hating each other, and it's got to change. Hopefully, you look in the mirror and you say, this has to change because we can't go on as a country
On both sides, right?
and see this. Both sides. And I'm just whether I'm a Democrat or whatever, it's just everybody is after each other. The words hurt. The words spike all this violence, and I just think that at some point, at my age, I'm looking at what my grandchildren and are going to walk into this world, and we better straighten it out. We better get our footings and get a better direction than the direction we're in now, because we're in a bad direction. I've been around a long time. I've seen a lot, and it was brought to light about Ronald Reagan. I remember that very distinctly. I remember actually my wife and I had just got married when JFK was shot, and I was at work, and I came home because everything closed down. Everything closed down, and that was a shock to the country. And now we're in a position that I hope this shocks and wakes people up.
Let me ask you guys this question, because I was unfortunately sorry I was too young. In terms of assassination attempts on candidates, I can barely remember George Wallace getting shot, and I cannot remember Robert F. Kennedy being shot. I was just way too young, but was
in a hotel,
right, in California. I remember that part. But was in the country in the same kind of shock, or same kind of situation that things have got to change from those attempts as opposed to this attempt? Has anything changed in the country? Do you know what am I asking the question correctly here?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I don't remember it. I remember the shock of it happening. I don't remember what condition we were in, because at that point I was in my 20s, and with JFK and Robert Kennedy, and so I just don't remember it, except for the fact that it was a awakening call, and I look at this as it has to be an awakening call, and I on both sides, it just has to. This hostility has to stop, and because we're not heading in a good direction. That's for sure.
Dave, thoughts on this assassination
Well, when
attempt
those
versus
incidents in the
those?
60s happened,
Yeah.
and even later on in the 70s with President Ford and Squeaky Fromm, the rest of those, because they happen with some regularity, unfortunately. Mostly not successful, thank goodness. The country was a different place then. The vast majority of people living in the United States were of the same mind, even if they were of different politics, that killing is bad, and that discussion should be a bit more collegiate. Then you hire the politicians that you want. It wasn't what it is today, where people have had it with both sides of the argument because they go nuclear at the drop of a political sign, and that neither political party, they didn't think this way in the 60s, that neither political party was worth the amount of attention that they get. We think that way now in this century, and it's a shame that that's the way it goes, but that's the way it goes because both sides are, forgive the phrase, but hell-bent on winning and destroying the other side. Whereas back in the 50s and 60s, it was, my candidate, my point of view, and yay, we won and stuff like that. But the other side was a worthy opponent. But your ideas don't carry the day today, and we're the winners. And so there was that kind of a thing, but not the sort of thing like, the only good Republican is one that's dead, which is what you hear from an awful lot of liberals and Democrats.
Right.
You just hear it expressed so frequently and carelessly that way. And on the Republican side, although it's more like Trump Republicans, and there's a lot of Republicans that don't go along with this because the Republican Party is indeed split, but the Democrats are taking us right down the road to ruin, and we can't give them another chance, and blah blah, and all the rest of that sort of thing. Well, those were private comments, perhaps among small groups of friends. Now it seems to be common knowledge and agreement. So I was asked by someone after the shooting happened on Saturday, were you surprised? I says, no, unfortunately, I couldn't be surprised by this because of the decades that people have been polarizing the political landscape. That driving people apart instead of bringing people together with different opinions to work for the common good of all. We've been driving people apart and demonizing anyone who doesn't think like us, and listening to only the programs that they agree with. So they never hear the value of the other side's point of view or an explanation on something.
The media is killing everything.
And I said to my wife, I said, Denise, 24-hour news channels are destroying society.
Because we got to fill it with something.
Right. I never agreed with them. I never thought they were a good idea. And I said, and because there's so much needed to keep the needles moving and keep the pictures coming that they just repeat. It ends up being like a mantra, almost like a religious service where you're talking to the faithful and whipping them into some action.
Frenzy.
Yeah.
And then you've got the channel that is for the Democratic point of view and the channel that's for the Republican part of view, and then you add on sub-channels to all of those. It's not good for society. It never was. We can't control it. When I say control it, I don't mean that we have to control the narrative. I'm saying that you can't control desperate people who are sacrificing integrity for the sake of a job, ratings, money, whatever.
Bill's got to go.
thing.
That's right. I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I
thank
had to
you.
leave.
Oh, and
All right.
I took all your time, Bill.
Thanks for coming in, Bill.
Sorry. Well, I'll keep your end up then. So anyway, that's the way I'm looking at it. And no, I wasn't surprised, and it's too
Okay.
bad. And the the thing that I also was not surprised by, but totally disgusted by, is that during the coverage, minutes after it happened, a Republican campaign worker of some import, I don't follow closely enough, so I didn't remember the name, and I didn't recognize the name, but the reporters who were reporting on I think I was watching CBS at the time, knew of that person being a highly placed source in the Republican campaign for Mr. Trump. Went on social media and made the comment, published the comment on social media, you see, they'll do anything to get rid of Trump. You know, they fixed an election. They try to put him in jail. They try to take his voting rights away. They try to stop him from campaigning and all the rest of it. And
So
now,
we're at the
when
very
that
end,
didn't work,
Now we have
this.
to shoot him. Yeah.
And so that was reported on the air, and it was a social media message, which, as we all know, can be quite irresponsible. And people who are passionate and upset, unfortunately, can publish with no filters, and there's no gatekeeper to it.
Right. From what I've read, though, the assassin was working alone, although the FBI is still investigating. But all accounts point to him working alone.
The problem is, even if you see, the fact is that the assassin was killed, so we are only going to know what the government wants us to know about the assassin.
That's right. And
okay, I mean, we went through that in the '60s with oh gosh, it flew out of my mind. Oswald.
Okay.
Yeah, Oswald was silenced.
Right.
So this person was silenced. And so that's what they need to do so that they control the narrative, whoever they happen to be. That's the people who are in charge. So bottom line, you can quote me on this if you want. I don't know if I'm right. I'm not telling you that I know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you what my impression is. My impression is the last nail in the coffin for Biden's presidency. The last nail in the coffin. He cannot be elected after this.
I actually agree with you on that, and I think since Trump survives this attempt, this vaults him right into the Oval Office.
And the worst thing is that the president went on television 3 times, and each time he stumbled over
Again.
things.
What I have read about the shooter, 20 years old, just graduated high school 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Worked at a nursing home. He was
used his father's rifle, which was
he's a
legally
dietary
purchased.
aide, which means he made the food and delivered the food.
Right.
The one thing they're questioning was, did the father give him the gun or did he just take it?
Well,
that's one of the things they're investigating.
Does it matter
Not
at this point?
Well,
only
it
if
would
you're
matter
looking
to
to charge
them.
the father.
That's right. That's what they're looking
I mean,
at. So,
the
but
father
it was
just lost his son.
But
I mean, goodness.
right. So
think about this.
The father did purchase the gun legally,
right,
and like that. So, what else? I read the shooter was a registered Republican, and he gave He gave $15 to the Republican Party once.
Well, you don't
and
make a
that
lot
was-
as a
that was
dietary aid.
Well, no, you don't. You really don't have a lot of extra spending cash hanging around,
Right.
to give away. So, all right. So the Republican National Convention starts tonight.
Yeah.
Trump is already in Milwaukee. He had a speech ready to go, completely changing it.
Yeah.
So the speech he was going to read, he's not going to deliver it. He's giving something else because of what happened.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be a little more soft-spoken.
No.
Oh yeah. He's not going to be up there pounding the thing. He'll be up there basically saying, he's very lucky. If he doesn't move his head at the split half second, and he knows this, he'd be dead. But he tilted it, right at the exact moment, so it pierced his ear.
We part company on that opinion,
Okay.
Joe,
Oh,
because
I think he's a little more soft-spoken tonight.
Trump will inflame the country.
Nope. All right.
He will rally his troops. You see the
They don't.
fist
They
that
don't.
he gave.
They don't. Well, that's to mean I'm
Fight,
no that
fight,
no
fight.
To me, that said I'm alive. I'm alive and I'm okay.
No.
Yes.
He said
Yes.
the word fight.
Well,
fight,
All right.
shaking his fist.
We'll see what happens when he gives his speech. I think we're in separate ends there, Dave.
Don't
we'll
know
see what
much
happens.
about Mr. Trump if
Well,
you think
no,
he's not going to make the most of this.
Well, he's going to use it as a rallying.
I mean, you look
rally
at the
around
January
him, sure.
6th thing. You think he
Yeah.
learned his lesson? There was no lesson for him in that except that he was right.
All right. Well, we'll see what kind of speech.
He will use the Republican National Convention to inflame the country, to separate us rather than to join us together.
See, I disagree, and we'll see what happens. All right, but we got to go.
Yeah.
The show's come to an end. So we thank you very much for listening in. Dave, thanks for being here as well.
Okay.
Thanks to our former mayor of Cumberland, Bill
Hope
Murray,
I'm
for
wrong.
being us. And
I'm wrong.
We thank Joe Petrucci, who joined us earlier today, talking about his book, The Last
He
Foul
was a
Ball.
lot of fun.
And get that novel. It's a quick, easy read, and it takes place in Woonsocket, Rhode Island.
The name of it is?
The Last Foul Ball. And it's a good read. Don't give it to your preteen, though.
Yeah, there's some stuff
give
in
it,
there.
Give it to your 18 or over crowd.
Right,
I mean,
it's-
not that it's awful,
it's
awful,
PG.
but
It's
it's
PG, right?
You might want to bump it up a little.
Really? Oh, it might be an R?
in a couple of places.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, don't give it to your preteen. All right, stay tuned. Leslie Page at the library is coming up, followed by Food First with Karen Zangari. Tonight at 6 o'clock, Woonsocket City Council meeting right here on ON Radio.
Broadcasting live and local daily from the Navigant Credit Union broadcast studio at the corner of Park Avenue and Kennedy Street. This is WOON Woonsocket Radio. And now, the news. The inaugural meeting of Rhode Island's